So, there I was, standing on my dew-soaked lawn at 6 in the morning, staring at a single, perfectly manicured plastic pink flamingo. It was impaled in the exact spot where my prize-winning butterfly bush used to be. That's how the war with Carol started. Not with a bang, but with a tacky, neon pink bird. Let me set the scene for you. My wife and I bought our first house in the Meadows at Whispering Pines, which sounds idyllic, right? Wrong. It should have been called the Beige Box Bunker of Perpetual Judgment. Our HOA was run by one Carol Peterson, a woman whose hair was lacquered into a permanent helmet and whose only joy in life came from measuring the height of her neighbor's grass with a laser level. My crime? I had a passion for native gardening. While everyone else had a chemically treated, water-guzzling patch of sterile green turf, my yard was a riot of color and life. Black-eyed Susans, purple coneflowers, milkweed for the monarchs. It was a pollinator paradise, and Carol absolutely hated it. It started with the friendly notes. "Dear homeowner, your yard appears unruly. Please refer to Covenant 7.4b regarding uniform lawn aesthetics." I tried to be reasonable. I went to the next HOA meeting armed with a PowerPoint presentation. I talked about water conservation, supporting local wildlife, the beauty of native flora. I even brought honey samples from my perfectly legal and registered beehives in the backyard. Carol just smiled that tight reptilian smile of hers. "That's all very quaint, Mr. Henderson. But the covenants are clear. This isn't a prairie, it's the Meadows. We have standards." The fines started a week later, $50 for excessive weed propagation, which was her term for my wildflowers. $100 for non-conforming shrubbery. I was paying a mortgage and, apparently, a subscription fee for the privilege of being harassed. The neighbors were split. Some, like old Mr. Gable next door, would give me a thumbs up over the fence. Others would just twitch their curtains, probably texting Carol a live feed of my every move. The gossip mill was churning. I heard from Dave, 2 streets over, that Carol was telling people I was trying to turn the neighborhood into a hippie commune. But the flamingo, that was a declaration of war, ripping out my butterfly bush, the one that had dozens of monarchs on it just the day before, and replacing it with that plastic monstrosity. Oh, it was on. I spent the next 2 days not mowing my lawn, but buried in county records and the original master deed for our development. My wife thought I'd lost my mind. I was fueled by coffee and pure, unadulterated spite. And then, late on the second night, I found it. A single, beautiful, overlooked clause in the county's agricultural zoning overlay that predated the HOA by 50 years. The land was zoned for single-family residences and small-scale agricultural activities. The HOA covenants could regulate aesthetics, sure, but they couldn't supersede county zoning law. The next Saturday morning, I rented a rototiller. The sound of it tearing up my entire front lawn brought Carol out onto her porch, clutching her pearls like I was summoning a demon. I ignored her. I tilled every last blade of that HOA-approved grass right up to the sidewalk. I worked all weekend, amending the soil, running irrigation lines. On Monday, a truck arrived. Not with sod, not with flowers. It was a truck from the local farm co-op, loaded with 200 sweet corn seedlings. I planted them, in perfect, neat rows, right there in my front yard. All heck broke loose. Carol was on my doorstep before I'd even watered the last row, her face the color of a ripe tomato. "What is the meaning of this, Mr. Henderson? This is an abomination." I just smiled, wiping the dirt from my hands. "It's small-scale agriculture, Carol, perfectly legal under County Zoning Ordinance 113.8. My lawyer has already reviewed it. He said to tell you that any fines issued regarding my crop would be met with a countersuit for harassment." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. She had no response. The rule book, her holy scripture, was useless. She couldn't touch me. For the rest of the summer, my neighbors had to look at my glorious cornfield. It grew tall and strong, towering over the petunias and manicured boxwoods. People would slow down their cars to stare. Some kids even tried to get lost in it like a mini corn maze. Mr. Gable loved it. Carol tried to find other things to find me for: the placement of my garden hose, a small oil stain on my driveway, but the fight had gone out of her. I had beaten her at her own game. I had used the rules, just a bigger, older set of rules, to win. The best part? In late August, I put a little hand-painted sign at the end of my driveway. Free corn. Take one. Be a neighbor. The families, the kids, even some of the curtain twitchers came by and shyly took an ear or two. We talked more in that week than we had in the 2 years I'd lived there. I threw a Harvest Festival barbecue in my driveway. We had grilled corn, burgers, and cold beer. I looked over and saw Carol standing on her porch staring at a neighborhood that was laughing and connecting, all because one guy decided that a garden was worth fighting for. She didn't have power over a cornfield, and it was eating her alive. And you know what? That corn was the sweetest, most satisfying victory I've ever tasted.